All right. So, welcome to the podcast. This has been a long time coming.
Like a month. That's how much we planned.
Yeah. And then we also realized that we forgot to do everything. So we've been talking for the past hour about how to make the podcast. Maybe not that long, but
And trying to sync up these mics so they don't sound like I'm 10 feet away from you or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're only 6 feet away. So,
yeah.
Anyway, we were going to start the podcast by saying that there's a Sherman Oaks in Florida, which we both recently learned about.
Which is weird. How dare they steal something from us?
Yeah, it's also not even a city because I looked it up and it's like a neighborhood. But
I mean, this is a neighborhood, I guess.
that's true.
It's a suburb.
But we have a post office. So
we got a post office and we got a Westfield Mall. That's really shitty, but still.
Yeah, it's weird.
We didn't talk about cursing. I just realized.
Oh, yeah, we can curse. I don't care.
Yeah,
We can say whatever we want.
I was going to say, should we do it in PG-13 movies, you can only curse twice.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you
no, you
wanna,
can only say fuck twice or
what-
once.
What if we, after the second fuck in every single episode, they're just
That's it.
randomly.
That's the over. It's over.
No, we're rated R.
Yes, we
sure.
are. Or X, maybe
Or
even.
I
don't.
at that point, it just turned into porn or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
There won't be moaning. There may be the occasional car horn though, because there is an El Pollo Loco nearby me. Anyway, we should give some background. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, my name is David. That's all that
That's it.
I'm kidding. No, I brought up the Sherman Oaks thing because I'm born and raised in Sherman Oaks, Los Angeles, the better Sherman Oaks. The Sherman Oaks part, not all of Los Angeles, obviously. I'm Armenian. I like movies. I'm a screenwriter. That's all you need to know.
Cool. My name is Brandon. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm born here, though.
I'm from Wisconsin. I moved out here in 2023, and we met at school, at college. CSUN, shout out. Cal State Northridge for all you people who don't know. Yeah, I wanted to be a screenwriter, but not really anymore. And I have a long background in music. I produce and write a lot of stuff, so I will be contributing the music portion of this show.
And I will be contributing the film portion.
Yes.
Got to cater to all the fans, even the highbrow ones. That's why I added the film.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
there we go.
Film. Yeah, there's no better word for music, I don't think. But
Audio.
yes.
That's the downgrade.
The audio files.
The audio file.
PH, not FILES.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was going to say PDF, but that's not an audio.
No. Welcome to the first ever Uncultured Pop Culture. This is it. This is what we're going to do.
And for those of you that thought that we don't have intro music, you're wrong.
Yes, because it just played. I can guarantee it. It may not exist yet, but it did just play. With that, what have you been watching? What have you been listening to this past, however long you want to go back?
Last year, I had a streak of watching 4 movies a week, and I was so proud of it. I've fallen off.
That's crazy.
The only thing I watched several things last week. One of them we're going to talk about now, though, so I can't talk about it. One of them we're going to talk about in the next episode, so I can't talk about it either. I watched the Grammys.
Yeah.
Just the performances, though.
I watched all of the Grammys.
Did all the award
Yeah,
stuff
everything.
too?
I watched a good 2 hours of the non-televised, the live stream version online. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, we had to hack into Paramount Plus to watch it.
Yeah.
Because there were no clips on YouTube, even though it was several hours after the thing ended. I was like, well, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Don't they usually upload it as it happens?
I would assume so, but Paramount Plus isn't the greatest streaming service, so
I guess.
Gotta
But
get
I thought
subscribers.
CBS would do it.
I mean, who knows? But
I don't know.
you watched.
I watched.
It was good.
It was, yeah. The
good.
performances were fun. I mean, Charlie XCX, I'm happy she chose Guess, because I was like, that's that's fun. And then her shout out happy birthday on stage. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who it was, whose birthday it was, but I
think
don't
it was
care.
Julia Fox. I don't
I
remember.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, I watched a music related thing instead of a movie this week.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
What about you? Any new music?
I recently learned how to say her name. It's OK Lou. I thought it was Oaklou. Anyway,
Never heard of this artist.
Yeah, she's a French, like, kind of pop singer. Anyway, she just released an album. To give you some context into when we're recording this, we don't know when it's going to drop yet.
5 years later.
Yeah, but the album was very good. I put it on my short list of albums of the year.
Oh, damn.
So
2025?
2025, yeah. That's the first entry in there.
Do you do like top 10 at the end of the year?
I usually just like put out a list of like, this is my stuff that I listen to, but not specifically in order. But I might do that for the pod now. So
that sounds fun because like I would totally do that for movies.
Yeah, you
Even
should.
though it would be outdated in like a month because I feel like everything shifts. You know, like I can't keep a constant decision.
Yeah, but I don't know. We can figure it out when it's like December. But
yeah, that's true.
Also, I wanted to make sure we get some context before we like dive into the music portion of this show.
That's true.
So David, do you want to tell the audience your like where you were like 2 years ago with your music knowledge?
My music knowledge was like the music knowledge of your like 50-year-old uncle that stopped listening to music after the 90s. That was pretty much my music knowledge.
Yeah. The one I like to bring up is that you didn't know who Maroon 5 was, or you didn't know their music.
I didn't know their music.
Yeah, which is insane.
Well, you know what it was? It's kind of like I knew their music to the extent of like you hear it on the radio several times, but you don't know who the band is. You don't know the name of the song. You know nothing about them. Like I knew like the names, like Lady Gaga. I never heard a Lady Gaga song. You know? Stuff like that. Or like I didn't know I had, you know? But there's a switch side to this.
Yes.
Which is your knowledge of movies.
My knowledge of film. Cinema. I know basically nothing. I mean, the one that everybody always gets on me is I've never seen The Lion King. I mean, I feel like that's kind of like a foundational piece of media
it is.
For when you're a child.
You're supposed to like watch it and cry as a kid, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw it on Broadway.
So
like
you
not
saw,
in New York, but like the Broadway touring version of it.
Yeah, you saw like the actually extended version because I think that version has like more songs, to be honest.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I saw that, but like, I don't know. I haven't seen, for context, we're in February now. I have watched one movie, and it was because I was at a friend's house and she was like, we have to watch a movie. Other than that, we watched the movie that is on this episode, Mulholland Drive.
It.
And that's it. I've watched 2 movies this year. And literally my Letterboxd, I started like last spring. And in that time,
wait, you had it for like a year?
I had it since like March or April of last year because I was like,
you literally started last month.
No, I was like, I'm gonna watch movies, and I just never like completed the profile
you
on
never
it.
Did.
So,
which reminds us, follow us on Letterboxd.
Yes, and rate your music.
And rate your music. We'll drop links.
Yes, we'll put that in the show notes. My name on both of them is Brandon the.
My name is Devuji, spelled with a G, not a J.
Yes. So, but we'll drop the links to that because then you can keep track of what we watch and listen to on the pod, and then also what we watch and listen to like outside of it.
Yeah.
For me, I probably won't be watching many movies that aren't related, but
you'll at least see like 4 a month.
Yeah,
which I feel like is a pretty solid amount.
That's decent.
I feel like that's typical.
Yeah, I don't know if I watched a movie last year. No, I did, because I saw Mean Girls. The musical version of it. Yeah.
And then I know you saw at least one movie the year before.
Yeah,
Barbie.
Saw that
together. Oh, and Barbie.
Oh, I saw 2 movies that year for sure. Yeah. Oh, also, I was planning on having my first movie on Letterboxd be one of the Star Wars movies because I was watching it when I went home for Christmas with my dad.
Yeah.
And we never finished it. So
I do have a rule where like if it's something I've seen before and I haven't finished it, I'll add it.
Okay, yeah.
Or like if it's something that I really hate and I'm like I can't finish it, I'll still rate it.
Yeah,
you know?
I do that with albums too.
Yeah, because it's like you can tell
right
by some point. And
we did see Love Lies Bleeding though. That was last year.
Oh my God, I forgot you were there to be honest.
Yeah, so I saw 2 movies. Wow. so I saw 2 movies for sure.
I was focusing on the lesbian sex. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know. You were locked in. Just like we were locked in on this movie, which we will talk about.
There's a lot of, we're going to mention a lot of lesbian sex in this episode, I guess.
There wasn't even that much in the movie. I was expecting so much more.
No, I know. I think I threw you off.
Yeah. Also, Chaperone threw me off. Because she says that one sex
That's
scene in
true.
Mulholland Drive. There's only two. I was thinking that one means
Well-
there's a specific one of many.
Yeah, and one of them is a masturbation scene, so it's not even like two people.
Well, yeah, but there's the first one where they're in like the aunt's apartment, and then there's the one where she's like the different people, where they're both different people and they're in Diane's apartment. Which is like really short, and she's on the couch, and then it might not be real.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, which that's so short. And then there's the masturbation scene, of course.
Yeah, I didn't remember the second.
So
the
technically,
second one.
well, there's 2.5, I guess we'll say.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like, do you count the masturbation scene as a sex scene? But now
It's-
I guess like there are two actual. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's half.
which is
I
like
feel like
masturbation is
yeah,
half. Yeah, there we go.
that sounds good.
That works.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we said we were going to start with the music. So this is my portion. So shall we start with the music?
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
We started with an album that I'm sure no one has ever heard before, except for me and now David.
Now me.
I did play a few songs from my dad because I thought it would be something that he would like, and he did like it.
You've gotten him into music in
I
general,
have,
right?
Yeah. I've gotten him into a few bands, including one that he saw without me, like because they didn't tour on the West
Damn.
Coast. Beach Fossils, by the way, great band. We will be listening to one of their albums at some
yeah.
point. Yeah, so nobody's heard this album, I assume. The biggest song on it has like 4 million streams, and one of them, I think it's UFO, has like 80,000 as of right now.
Yeah, that's really small.
So nobody's heard of this.
I feel like I can guess which one has 4 million.
Which one?
I feel like it's either like Magic Trick or like Dancing in Heaven or something like that.
It's I Feel Like Dancing, which
Okay,
wasn't even the lead single.
That's another
but-
one that I was like, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be that one.
Yeah, I guess we can just talk about that. Magic Trick was the lead single. I knew about this band back in 2018 with the release of their self-titled record, which I thought was really good. Not nearly as good as this one. I'll just get that out of the
Yeah.
way. There was promise there from the start that I was like, oh, this is really good. Now, I should give a little bit of context here. So the lead singer and only like confirmed band member is Martin Johnson, who's the lead singer of Boys Like Girls, which is an emo band that you've never heard of. But some people will know.
100% ever.
They're kind of, well, I don't know if they're really emo. They're more like punk. I don't know how to describe them. They're a rock band, I guess is the best thing to
Like
say.
punk rock,
Yeah, but not even that. It's kind of like poppy. But
like its own thing.
yeah, they had a song with Taylor Swift in like 2010 or something like that.
yeah.
That was on the radio.
So he's been around for like a long time.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. And then he wrote songs after that for other people. The most famous, the one that I like when I learned about it, I was like, wow, is The Other Side by Jason Derulo, which I'm assuming you don't know.
I don't know. Sing it. Maybe I know.
I'm not singing it.
Every single time you're bringing up a song, I'm gonna be like, sing it.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
We'll probably listen to it at some point because it's
Yeah.
pretty important.
Is it like in a album too, or was it just like a single or something like that?
It was a single. It's on an album.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll listen to some Jason Derulo though, because you have to be educated in Jason Derulo for sure. Yeah. So anyway, he's been around for a while,
Yeah.
and he launched this project in like 2017. Was signed to a major label and got dropped. So I want to just read some of the things I have written down here, which I love this recording package. It's not like a physical album. I don't have it. It's mostly streaming, but there's a lot of great album art. The website design with all the lyrics on it is really cool.
Damn, I wish I had taken a look at that.
Yeah, and the single arts. There were a few singles before. Magic Trick, One Phone Call, I Feel Like Dancing, Postcard from the City of Angels, Companion, and Beautiful Stranger were all singles before the album came out.
That's quite a lot of singles, isn't it?
It is a lot. Yeah.
Isn't it like typically 2 or something?
It depends on like when you're releasing the album, but yeah. And then Our Generation was the like promotional single day of release, which I think
feel
did
like
get
makes sense.
Yeah, I think it did get playlisted as well. So, because that one has more streams than a lot of the other songs. Yeah, Magic Trick, I think it was either the end of May or beginning of June of 2020. So at this point, I was back in Wisconsin. I had gotten sent home from college from my first time at college, and I was listening to this, and I was like, "Wow, this is so good."
He was not expelled.
No.
You
Yeah,
made it sound like they booted you out.
exactly. Yeah, no, I didn't voluntarily leave, but I had to.
Yeah.
But not for academic reasons, and not for other reasons too. It was,
Yeah.
Anyway,
We all know.
right. Sometimes I'd go around on drives with my sister. Sometimes I just go alone. But I used to queue up this song a lot and just like drive around my hometown.
Which must be so nice because like there's actual like country.
Yeah, there's
there,
space.
You know, like there's space. Then it's
Yeah.
not all suburbia.
As I do with all of the songs, I like listen to them so much that I learn the lyrics without ever like looking them up.
Yeah.
And then once I look up the lyrics, there's always like one word that I'm like, wow, I can't believe they said that in that song. I never caught that.
And it's also like you sing a part of it wrong, but you never realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That I know that happened in this song, but I can't think of the exact place of where it was. Yeah, so I used to listen to Magic Trick a lot. Then I really liked I Feel Like Dancing when that came out. That was in like August. I have a very specific memory of listening to it in the parking lot of Goodwill in my hometown. I don't know why I was there.
I mean, why not? Like,
yeah.
That one was one of my favorites.
Okay.
And it's just like such a great vibe. I don't know. It's just like it gets you going, you know?
It's a good pop song.
Yeah.
Which also I should explain, I am a big pop music person. I love pop music. I write pop music. I will be approaching it in kind of that lens, I guess. I guess we'll just like get right into the track list. So we start off with The Stilt Walker, which I wrote down here. I love a spoken word intro and intros in general. I feel like that's something that gets lost sometimes in albums.
It's always been kind of rare. Yeah, I gotta say I'm kind of like, I don't care that much about like spoken word, but maybe that's because I haven't listened to that many.
I mean, I haven't listened to a ton either, but it's kind of fun because it's like poetry almost in a way that it becomes less about the songwriting and more about like the storytelling, which is kind of fun.
Which is interesting.
And I feel like this one does a good job of setting up the album.
I feel like there was also like a lot of references to like LA, which is also like a reference to the album too.
Yes.
You know?
Which, we should also say that I chose this album because specifically my roommate was like, we should do something about LA.
In the context of, and this will date it, but who cares? Like in the context of the fires that have been happening.
Yeah. And David Lynch dying.
Which is why we chose the movie. Well, also because like they do have very like similar themes of like Los Angeles and two very similar industries, which are like the film and the music industries.
Right. Creative industries that
fuck
don't,
you up.
Right. Yeah. That don't care about the creatives in the industries.
Yeah.
We had I think we came up with Mulholland Drive first, and then I was like, oh, I should do my like LA album. And this is my like quintessential LA album made by a guy from Boston. So,
well, I mean, the David Lynch is a guy from, I don't even remember where he's from, but he lived in like Philadelphia and stuff in Montana. So he's not from here either. Like,
yeah, there's something, and you can speak to this as somebody who's from LA. Like, I feel like there's something about people being from outside of LA and coming in and making media about LA that captures like a different vibe to it than somebody that's from here.
Yeah. I think it's like, it is like a different vibe, but I also feel like, and maybe this speaks to like the culture of LA, but since so many people here since they come from different places, I feel like that that's a part of the culture. So even though it's looking at it from an outside perspective, that kind of perspective is kind of like part of the culture of LA anyway.
Yeah.
So it kind of like it's outside of LA, but inside of it at the same time. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like since so many people move here,
it's,
you know?
Yeah, it's multicultural, but then it's also a city of like transplants from like other places in the US.
That's the word I was looking for. Transplants. It is the, like, aside from New York, I guess, the city of transplants.
Yeah.
The West Coast, transplant city or whatever. Yeah.
And with like entertainment being here, like that draws people from all over the place and people with very specific visions and like thoughts and perspectives on the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from there, we go into I Feel Like Dancing, which was one of the singles. On the Night Games YouTube page, they have like track breakdowns of a few of them. He said this song is about drugs.
Damn. I mean, I can see it.
I mean, yeah. And I was like, I guess so. I don't know. I think of it's got the beat of like a dancing song though. So I don't know. That's always how I took it.
I also saw it as like a song about like the relaxed life. Like I'm just going to be dancing, doing my own thing, which it is like the stereotype of LA, like relaxed life, no hustle. But I'm like, that's kind of true. It kind of feels like it. And I mean, we do got drugs here, so
yeah, right. Yeah, I really like I Feel Like Dancing. Yeah. That's one of the standouts for me. That was one of the songs.
Same for me.
Yeah, when I like initially heard it, I was like, oh yeah, this is like going on like the rotation of the stuff I listened to.
Yeah,
and that was a single before the album. Then the third song is Magic Trick.
Yeah, which is like,
I mean, this is kind of like the best metaphor we got for
This is, I heard the song and I was like, damn, this is the music industry.
Yeah, I love this song so much. Watching the track breakdown of it is great, and it like makes you appreciate it even more.
And it's, I think, also such a like good use of metaphor, because I wouldn't have never thought of like the magic trick, stuff like that.
Yeah, you're creating the magic trick, and you have to keep doing it to ensure your survival.
Yeah, gotta like burn yourself to keep people satisfied.
Exactly. Yeah. So a few things that I have written down here about this one. One thing that he said in the video was it's about the abusive relationship of music. So it's not even just the industry. It's also like being a writer, because we both write things.
Yeah, being a writer and like the things that you write.
Right. You have to continually like make magic. There's a clock ticking throughout it, which is very prominent. It starts with the clock ticking. I like that. And then he also talks about the moments of like, especially in the chorus, the big moments where there's like a stab or a hit of a guitar and horns and stuff, or synthesizers.
Yeah, which is like quite prominent in the song.
Yeah,
right?
That's like the ta-da moment he described it as, which I really liked. And then I wrote down some lyrics from this song, but I also specifically wanted to mention the vocoded part at the end, which I don't think it's in the bridge. It's more in like the last chorus, but in the background while he's saying what you want isn't what you need, which I just really like that.
Yeah.
And it's fun and it adds like motion to it.
I will say they also use a lot of bridges in their songs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just like so many lyrics in this. The specific song and overall too, not only the specific song, but like just looking at the specific song, there are so many lyrics that are just so clever at getting its message across. Like the line you just said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at another one I have written down here as well, which is I can turn into whatever you want me to be in the shadow of Los Angeles. I'll paint it gold so you can see what you want to see.
Yeah, I think I wrote that same one down too.
Yeah,
because it's just such a.
And then that like whole section ends with what's like works as a pre-chorus, but is really just one line. I'll sell my soul just to make you love me.
Yeah. There's also like the line about like, I'll burn down my castle so you like approve of me.
Yep. You'll have a fresh faced cowboy next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. All very great things.
Which I noticed cowboys also mentioned in Stillwalker.
Yes. Yeah. There's a few like cowboy themes in here.
And there's a cowboy in Mulholland Drive.
Yes, there is. But yeah, Magic Trick, great song. Love this song. I do also want to say this is one of two songs on the album I gave a perfect score to, a 5 out of 5.
I feel like this is also kind of like the headlining song of this album.
Yeah, it's also the lead single, which I feel like is a perfect like thesis kind of for the album. Like this one and A Postcard from the City of Angels, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I feel like those are like the bookends almost of the album. Perfect score. I would put.
Damn.
I don't know. I'll mention the other one later. I would put this in my probably top 100 songs of all time. Yeah. Like this is. And there's two. I have like two philosophies about this. You either like when you hear the song, it takes you a little bit to get it, and then it's like, oh wow, this is great. Or you get it right away. And this was one that I got right away. And I was like, this is like an immediate 5-star.
Yeah, there was one that's going to be coming up is like, that one for me. Which I always know if I get it right away when like I can't stop listening to it. You know?
Yeah.
Where like just a couple of days you're playing it on repeat.
Yeah. Which one was that for you?
I'll tell you when we get there.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to the next one, which I also feel like has a lot of great things to talk about. Our Generation. Yeah. Did you write down what I think you did?
LA Loneliness Epidemic, like all that.
Yeah. I specifically wrote down Canoga Park and Lancashire because he shouts those two out in this song.
I was like, should I write down like the specific names of streets? And I was like,
Mulholland Drive, I wrote down Mulholland Drive, and I wrote down Havenhurst, which we'll talk about when we get there, because we do live in the valley.
Shout out to different streets and whatever.
Yes, throughout the course of this podcast, we will be like geeking out over some like mentions of things in the valley that we know about. So
we're gonna have to actually like explain them at some point, probably.
Right. Yeah. She was born in Canoga Park, calls it LA. For the record, Canoga Park is part of LA.
It is.
It's in the city.
Once you get like on the other side of those mountains, that's not
Right.
LA. But like
Yeah.
like Canoga Park is like.
Yeah, Canoga Park is part of LA.
I'm sorry, Boston man, but it is.
Yeah, right. He probably lived in like Hollywood when he was here, and
Yeah,
he was like,
he
"Oh
was
my
like,
god,
oh
Canoga Park
gosh.
is so far away."
That's like the classic, like, oh, you're in the valley.
Yeah,
You think you're part of LA?
yeah,
Yeah.
Because that's like almost the furthest you can get away.
Yeah.
I don't know, Porter Ranch. Do you consider that further?
I mean,
It depends.
it depends.
Chatsworth.
I could also see like, I feel like there are the people that live in like Riverside and they're like, we're part of LA.
Well,
they're not
that's
really.
that's not
you know,
even
but
up for
it's like-
debate. The census doesn't even
Yeah.
consider them part of LA.
But
They're part of the Inland Empire.
I feel like some people might argue that or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard people argue that San Diego's part of LA.
That's so idiot.
So-
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's-
So I'll just leave that with no explanation.
God.
But yeah, our generation, I wrote down, this is one of my own thoughts, finally. It's a surface level critique of a surface level city's dating scene
Yeah.
because it's very obsessed with like appearances. And I really like that about this song. This was one that also clicked for me right away.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Shout out to Mulholland Drive. In this, he specifically says masturbation. So
yeah, exactly.
so shout
more
out.
connections. with
Exactly.
that.
Another connection.
It's just like everything that's going on right now with like 19, 20, 21, you know, like just like our generation.
I mean,
it's in the title.
yeah,
you know?
our generation
This is our generation.
And our generation's different than his generation too, I'd assume.
But I feel like he captured like
yeah,
our
I mean,
generation very
a
well.
millennial thing and then also a Gen Z thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
which arguably got even worse for Gen Z considering like
God, yeah.
social media and everything.
yeah,
you
don't
know?
even get me started on dating in LA. I'm the one who has to do it.
Yeah,
You're in a
well,
relationship.
That's true. I got lucky.
Yeah, exactly. I'm forced to live the reality of
know.
our generation every day.
I got lucky. I got the whole cliche met at a party and then there we go. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. But what can I say?
Yeah. Companion with El King.
Also such a good song.
Do you know who El King is?
I have no idea who
Okay,
El King is.
I figured. She's the daughter of Rob Schneider.
Oh shit.
So I figured you know who
That's
that
pretty
is. I don't
cool.
really know who he is. Yeah,
I
Nepo
mean,
Baby.
I don't know much about Rob Schneider, but like I know of him, you know?
I think he's a MAGA person now. But
Great.
yeah.
Another one.
But
Oh,
anyway, she had a song in like 2015, X's and O's, which I'll have to play for you at some point because I'm sure
Yeah.
you've never heard it.
Right after this episode ends.
Yeah. What do you have for thoughts on this song?
I was just jotting down things off the top of my head. I had like Falling Out of Love, sort of, you know, that's like the vibe of the song.
Yeah.
But I also noticed an interesting thing because they talk about, you know, like living in a rainy place, which I took as like, oh, they moved to London or something. So I sort of got this vibe of, you know, missing LA almost, you know, like I want to go back.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck here in like the doom and gloom of whatever city this is. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's definitely not LA. We don't got that much rain.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's raining right now, but
one of 5 days out of the year.
yeah. Yeah.
So-
We also have a flash flood watch for tomorrow. So watch out.
Get ready for those mudslides.
Yeah.
Whatever like celebrity homes that didn't get destroyed in the fire are pretty much
Yeah.
gonna go down.
And you can make that joke because you're from here.
That's exactly. Plus they're rich. They got second houses, right? I
Yeah.
feel bad for the people that don't, you know,
Right.
like the poor people,
Yeah.
obviously. My heart goes out to them. Which incidentally, support, donate.
Yes, please donate. I don't have
Please.
money.
Me
I'm
neither.
unemployed.
That's why we have time for this podcast.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I will say that this song I rated as my least favorite on the album.
Really?
I gave
quite
it-
like this song.
I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 still, so it's still very
Yeah,
good.
That's still
But it's the one where I was like, yeah, I like this song, but it's not going to it wasn't the one that like connected with me right away.
that's interesting. I feel like that was more like, well, I mean, we'll get there when we get
Well,
there.
which
but,
song
like,
was that for you? You
I
can
feel
say
like
it.
UFO.
Okay.
In general, I feel like the second half of the album I just connected like less with.
Interesting.
Than the first half, aside from one specific song.
Yeah,
which is my
that
favorite song.
That is the opposite for me. I think
Really?
the second half of the album, I gave every song a 4.5
Damn.
until one of them,
yeah.
which shall remain unnamed.
Okay.
Moving on from there, One Phone Call, which I don't remember if it's listed as the end of the first half of the album or the start of the second half. I believe it's the end of the first half, though, because it's 11 songs, and this is track 6. What did you take from this song?
I noticed they mentioned Bad Neighborhoods. And
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder which ones they're talking about. I want to know.
Yeah. To me, this song is like the most from this album specifically. They have other songs that I feel like are very like 80s movie core, but I feel like this song is like a great like end of a movie, end of an 80s movie song where it's like
I could see that.
everything's better now.
Yeah.
You're my one phone call, or I'm your one phone call. Like
I'll be here for you.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I really liked that one. Hurt So Good, I think, is a great song. I don't really have anything to say about that. I really enjoyed that song.
Yeah, I did quite like this song too. I also don't have much to say about it, to be honest. I think like, I don't know, I feel like I had a lot more to say about the earlier ones,
Well, we'll get to Dancing in Heaven.
which is my favorite song of this whole album.
Favorite song of the album? What did you rate that one?
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, I think.
Okay.
I think it was the highest rated one.
Yeah.
Which it could go up, to be honest. I don't know. I gotta listen to it again. I was listening to it like several days in a row last week.
Okay.
I just really liked it.
That was the one, yeah.
This was the one. It got me. Also, I don't know. I guess I like this type of song, which I don't know like how you would describe it.
It's an emotional ballad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I guess I'm an emotional ballad kind of guy.
from what I saw on like the Genius song bio, I think it's about his mother who died.
Damn.
You can take this in any way you want. It's obviously the death of something or someone.
Yeah, of someone.
This is just a beautiful song. You got bagpipes in here. Who else is doing that? You got a pan flute.
Ain't no one else doing that.
Exactly.
Aside from Sting.
Yes.
It literally reminded me of Sting. I was like, damn, that's kind of...
Yeah, I wrote down magical feeling under this one. There's just something so cinematic about this song as well, which is kind of how I feel about this whole album.
I could see it in a movie for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a few other songs like that. They usually use like regular orchestral instruments that kind of create this like fairy feeling almost. But there's like I don't know, it's very pretty. I like that song a lot.
I think it like fits well with the content matter too, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just works.
I don't know if you can hear.
And now someone else is playing music.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the guy pulling up to El Pollo Loco right now, but he is blasting music, so hopefully not. Anyway, Beautiful Stranger, number 9, that was also a single. I really like this song. I don't have much to say about it. I love the production on this one.
I don't remember this song that well, to be honest.
Oh, wow, okay. It's
think-
like an 80s new wave pop kind of song.
I think like, yeah, some songs just kind of like flew over my head, which is again like what I said about the second half kind
Yeah,
of.
that's fair.
I did kind of get like a vibe of like, oh, who can save me from the sharks of the industry from it in some ways.
For me, this album has become synonymous with like my first year in LA and kind of just like what LA is in my mind.
Yeah. I think I was very influenced by like Matchmaker, to where like a lot of the songs I sort of saw as either something to do with like a relationship or something to do with like the industry.
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
UFO, this was your least favorite on the album?
I wouldn't say it's my least favorite.
What's your least favorite?
I don't know. I don't think like I have a specific least favorite. I think it just I didn't connect with that much.
Okay. I love this song.
Is this your favorite song?
No, this is not my favorite song. Which only leaves one.
Yeah, so I know which one it is now.
Yeah, I don't remember if I gave this a 4.5 or a 5. I was thinking about giving it potentially a 5. I love the progression on this song, and the last chorus is slightly different as well.
Yeah.
And I wrote down, I swear I'll be home by Christmas this year. This, for me, hits really hard because like I'm not from here. All my family's back in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I'm thinking about like, oh, what's going on in my old life, essentially.
Yeah. You know, I did note like there is like the leaving the place, you know, to like follow what you want to do in LA, which like obviously for me doesn't hit that hard. Like,
Yeah.
but I know like for a lot of people it does.
For sure. Yeah. And I have, I did write down some lyrics from this song. I told my friends we'd meet again on that same couch, but they're all married now or in jail or strung out.
Yeah.
Blew all my money just to live in a dollhouse and put on a happy face, which for me is kind of like, that's your 20s and that's living in LA.
Yeah. And that's also just, I feel like being in like any creative industry.
Yeah.
Because it's like all of your friends are like, yeah, I am working at the company and I'm just got a raise and whatever. And you're like, I just made this thing for free for a producer. Like, you know, it's like, you know.
And I don't know if I mean, we have a group chat with our friends. I don't know if you if we've talked about this before or if I've just talked about it with other people, but I kind of like, I mean, I gave up on screenwriting.
Yeah.
And I'm doing music now.
It's spreading through the ranks.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a waiting game of like, who's going to give up next, you know? And it's sad. It sucks, but that's like what the industry does to you. That's what any creative industry does to you.
Or school in some cases.
That's true. Yeah. And then the last song, Postcard from the City of Angels.
Classic. This one is like,
I have this starred. I put a star by it. This is a 5 out of 5. This, I don't know.
Song.
I don't know if it's my favorite over Magic Trick.
Yeah.
But it is so close.
It is a really good song. This one, like after the ones that didn't click, as much. Like when I say don't click, like I still like them, you know? Mm-hmm. There wasn't like a bad song on here, in my opinion. But yeah, this one was like, this is, I love this, you know? It's kind of like I want to like do what he's talking about in the song, even like as I don't want to do it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like this weird, I don't know, it just makes me feel like this weird mix of like, should I give up? You know, at some point, like, wouldn't it be easier?
Yeah, I wrote down a quote he had from the video, which, like, if you watch the video, it's gonna be better than me just saying it.
Yeah,
but
I want to watch it.
Yeah, he said it's a big place and it's a lonely place.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's the vibe I get from the song. It's like there are so many people here, and if you don't find like the people that you're with, this is
so lonely.
Yeah, this is like the worst city to live in if you don't have people.
Even if you have like family here, or like even like with friends, if you live far from them, you know, it's gonna be depressing.
Yeah, if you live like in the valley and they live in regular LA, it's kind of like, well, guess we'll never see each other again.
You're never
like,
gonna see them.
Yeah.
LA really, I think, has no sense of community at all.
No,
like,
I 100% agree.
I don't know. I just find that to be crazy. And I say that as someone that was born here. Like, thankfully, like, I have the type of family that does have like a strong sense of community. And like, I've been like lucky to go to other places where that also exists. Otherwise, like, I'm like, I don't even know if I would know what that is, you know? Like, it's so bad here that...
Yeah, and it's hard to explain in a way that like people who haven't experienced it will get.
Yeah.
Like there's just something about the city that's just like everybody wants to do their own thing and they don't want to like be around you a lot of the times.
And I think it's like in some way it spreads to you even if you don't like want it to. Like, you know, if you want to like know your neighbor, stuff like that, after like a period of living here, at some point you're just like, I don't care. I don't want to know my neighbors anymore. You know, like, it really does spread to you. It like, it's kind of like infectious.
Yeah, I get that too, because I get so angry at like certain things where it's like, wow, I never used to be this bitter.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. It's weird to be honest,
it is.
You know?
As we have another plane or potentially helicopter going over us.
It sounds like a plane.
I also have a note down here that says, get the lyrics up for this song. I'll just say the first 3 lines. I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to leave it all behind. It'll be better for my skin out of the sunshine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like, that's the whole point of the album.
Yeah.
And then the way the album ends is, I think it's time I got the hell out of Los Angeles, which is just a great quote. And something that I have felt for every minute that I lived here and for times when I wasn't even here, when I was in the process of moving out here. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, there's something about it. But the people that I've met here are kind of like keeping me here, you know? So if you leave, then I'm not going
to leave. Because like my industry depends on it. Like I have to stay.
That's the other thing with like music. This is one of the few cities.
It's like this in New York, pretty much.
Nashville.
Yeah. Wait, I'm not sure if you want to move to Nashville.
I don't. Yeah. No. The theme of the album as Los Angeles kind of like brings us to a great Los Angeles movie.
Yeah.
Of Mulholland Drive. Also, before we fully switch over, I want to say I gave this album a 5 out of 5. This is one of like maybe 3 albums that I've ever rated that I've given a perfect score to. Not every song gets a perfect score, and that's kind of how I rate things.
Yeah, obviously.
But this album as a whole, as a cohesive like body of work, I feel like it 100% works for me.
Yeah.
So 5 out of 5 for me.
I gave it a 4 out of 5, which in my book is like a great album. And I really did love it. I'm like, if an album has at least one song in it that I will like listen to on repeat, that's it. That's a good, like I'm going to put that up there,
Yeah.
So this did it for me.
And I will say that in my rating score, a 5 out of 5 says I believe in music again on my Rate Your Music account. So that's kind of how this one is. I've listened to this album in like every moment of my life since it's been out in 2021.
And you like listened to this album when you were moving here, right?
I listened to this album before I lived here, while I was like thinking about moving here, and then actually living here. Yeah. And then now in a new place, I've listened to it again, and it's kind of like, wow, like I don't know. There's something
in my hood.
Yeah, exactly. It changes with you. And I think that's what makes a piece of art good.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, I wanted to start with something that I really liked for the album that maybe people don't know about necessarily, but hopefully you'll listen to it, or you've already listened to it before you started this episode. And same thing goes for the movie. Please watch this beforehand, or watch it like right now as you're listening to us talk. I don't know.
Just ignore the podcast and just watch the movie. Yeah.
So would you like to do a brief introduction? This is your domain.
Let me give a brief like overlook of David Lynch. I believe he was born in Montana, but I'm not sure. Either he was born somewhere else and like moved to Montana.
There's no way to look it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not like I have a computer right next to me.
Right.
But it's like not important. Like right now, I can bring it up later anyway too.
Missoula, Montana.
There we go. So he was born in Montana. He went to art school. He wanted to be an artist. He would do like collages and stuff. And then he made like a collage that was like a moving image sort of with sound that brought him to LA, because AFI, which is like the most famous film school I ever saw it, and they invited him, and he sort of didn't know what he wanted to do, because like, you know how art schools are, they're like, you gotta do the traditional painting, whatever, and he's like, I don't want to do that.
So he was like a visual artist before he was a filmmaker.
He was a visual artist.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that was before.
Same way he is in his movies, which I should have started with this. He is a weird guy, but weird in the best possible. Like, he is quirky. If you ever hear him, like, if you like watch a video on him, he's just like, I don't know. You can't even describe it. He did this series on YouTube where he talked about the weather in LA, and every video he would start off, he would be like, today there are beautiful blue skies. And then he would talk about how he's making like quinoas. Like, it's just random stuff, but it's like super quirky. And that's just like the person he was. And that was like the stuff that he would do. That's why like all his movies are super surrealist. Not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah.
Which I know
I've never seen a David Lynch film before, so this is my
best way to start.
Yeah.
Your like first movie you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yes.
Obviously not, but yeah, he came here. He made his first film in school, but he like self-funded it. He worked on it for like 2 years. He had a kid and a wife, but he was just living on the set. Like, he was getting divorced. Like, it was just crazy. And then he released it, and that was like his first big thing, which we should watch. It's called Eraserhead. It's very surrealist too.
That was his first one?
That was his first movie.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Never seen it, obviously.
I think he had done like short films.
Yeah.
But that was his first full length. And then, yeah, he just started making movies. But yeah, movies. I mean, it sounds like he made one.
Yeah.
But yeah, very surrealist, very out there in some ways. But I also think they're very human.
Yes.
If you get what I mean.
It's grounded in a reality that we have. I mean, like, speaking from the one movie I've seen, but there's like the kind of like, not paranormal, but there's a weirdness to it.
Yeah.
Very
much so. Yeah. Probably my favorite filmmaker of all time.
Okay. Yeah.
And that also brings us to the fact that he did pass away at this point, like several weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which is, it is what it is. It's very sad. It's not, I wouldn't say it's super surprising. A lot of people knew that he had like health issues this past year, and he was like 77. But I think it's also like no one just expected him to die.
Yeah.
He was just this sort of presence. I think he had like, at least this is my opinion, he had a very magical presence just as a person. Like he is someone that I would love to, and not as like a celebrity. Like I wouldn't go, like I would love to meet him, but not as like, oh, sign this, or like, I
Right,
want to be like,
yeah.
I want to talk about your movies. Like he's the kind of person that I would want to sit down and just like talk to for like 5 hours, you know, about
Yeah.
just random shit. Like he is, I don't know, he was a special person, I think. One of the few like just special people that are born every like 50 years or whatever. But anyway, that was the intro to Mulholland Drive.
Yes.
Let's get into the movie.
Let's.
What did you think? How confused were you?
I was pretty confused. I should also say that part of the reason I don't watch movies is because I'm like partly face blind.
And this is like the worst movie for that.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that going in.
I honestly kind of forgot you were face blind. So I also didn't realize that going in.
Yeah. Because for me, it's people who like that I have the hardest time seeing are people who are like conventionally attractive because they all just look the same to me. Because it's like, oh, you're the archetype of like somebody hot. That's
Either
like cool.
they gotta be super ugly or super hot.
Or they gotta have something about their face where it's like, oh, I know. Like I can point to this thing and I know it's this person. I liked this movie. Do you want me to give you my rating now? Or
Whatever you like. I just want to hear what you thought about it first.
Okay.
And then I'll get into my whole little spiel.
Yeah. I thought it was very weird.
For sure.
But it's not weird until like the third act when everything like starts falling apart.
That's when it gets,
Yeah. Like the majority of the movie is like pretty normal and it makes enough sense.
I would say it's like normal in a David Lynch sort of way though. Like where there are like weird little things in it.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's normal to a point where it's like, oh, this is a movie that I've seen movies before.
Yeah,
this is a movie.
Like, this is like a narrative movie.
Right.
You know?
And then in the third act, it's like it goes full art and it's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on. And you know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to.
I think it also explains itself in the third act. And I will get into my whole little spiel thing
Yes,
here.
I'd like to hear about that. Do you want me to ask you some questions I have written down?
I know you wrote some down, so I do want to hear them.
Okay, so the first one is, who is everyone?
I will get into it. Yeah,
Okay.
I will like...
Do you want to get into it right now?
I mean, I guess I should. So there are like a lot of theories about this film, and David Lynch never explained it because he wanted, like, he was like, make up whatever it is to you, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's also like art. Some will argue
Yeah.
that's the purpose of art, is that
Exactly.
you have to figure out the meaning.
There is like a very sort of like widespread interpretation of this film that I personally agree with, and that I like sort of came out of it after watching for the first time. That was like what was kind of in my head, and then like reading like about this idea that other people kind of agreed with, like made it stronger. So my interpretation of the film has been that like the first like 2/3 up until like where it gets weird, that's like the dream. So the ending is the reality. It's the actual setting. We're following this woman played by Naomi Watts, the blonde-haired
Right.
woman.
Yeah. I know who she is. I've looked at pictures
okay,
of her
yeah.
at this point to like
You
figure
know
out.
her enough. Okay.
Yeah, and I've also seen her name written when I've been like reading
That's
about
true.
the movie.
I should probably like have written down the character names because I don't remember any of them now. But her character
At this point, she's Diane.
She's Diane. That's right. So
Yeah.
in reality, she is Diane.
Yeah.
Who is this actress that had some success, but her career's fizzled out. You know, she's in LA and she loves this woman, Cynthia, who is what's the actress's name? Laura Harding?
Laura Herring or something.
Something
I think,
like that. Yeah.
I should know that.
Yeah, we should know that, but
There's no way of knowing, I guess.
We
we'll never
definitely
know.
don't have smartphones. We still have flip phones. But she loves this woman,
Yes,
who
Laura
doesn't love her back.
Herring, I'm assuming is how you say
Yeah.
it. Harr.
Laura Herring. But yeah, so this is her reality. She loves her, but she doesn't, Laura Herring's character doesn't love her back. Her career is stalled, which I think, connects very well to the album and stuff like that, And that's why she sort of creates this dream. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like, her coming to LA, but it's all different. She comes and she's super talented, but she still doesn't get her break in a dream, but that's why she invents like these characters that force another actress in. So, the reason why her career hasn't worked out is not her fault in her dream.
Yeah.
And then with Laura Harding's character here, she has this amnesia, so she's very dependent on her character. So like she takes care of her. They love each other. Like pretty much all the things that she wants in her life that didn't happen, she like makes them happen in her dream by making Laura Harding's character like very dependent on her, by having amnesia, all that sort of stuff, by like having these weird people in like that room manipulating this movie so she doesn't get the role, instead of like the fact that maybe she just wasn't good enough. That being, all these things that she's sort of manipulating to like make her life like better in a way. But there are still like things that trickle in from real life. Like they find the Diane.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah.
How do you explain that in this theory?
Is like her real life like forcing its way back into her dream.
So she's dead? In this, yeah.
She sees her dead self. Because like her dream can't hold, it's cracking, which I think speaks to like the creature that we see behind the Winkies.
Yeah.
I've always seen that as like some sort of representation of like her depression or something that's like getting into her dream. And like, how they unlock the thing?
Yeah, unlock the blue box.
And that's what like sends it back to the reality. And who has it at the end? Like this personification of
creature.
Her depression.
Yeah.
That. So that has always been my view. It's like trying to like create this dream of a better life that gets, invaded by her reality and takes her back to her reality, which leads to her, spoiler alert, but leads to her killing herself.
Yeah.
So that's a spiel. I would say read up more about it. Watch the movie first of all, read up about it. But that has always been like what I sort of took from it. And I think it does speak a lot to like, ruined dreams in the city. You come here with dreams and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't.
And the city will beat them out of you if they don't work out.
It will. It will beat you out. Yeah. It could even kill you,
Yeah.
So.
I have a few other things written down here. How does time work? Because I initially was thinking that it isn't necessarily a dream and that it is like kind of a real life portrayal. Yeah. How does that?
I could see that.
I do after reading about it and also like after watching the movie of just like processing everything. I was like, okay, it's probably a dream, but I didn't want to just like assume that it was,
I could see it being that. Maybe it's like there's a time jump or something. So that's why everything's so different. But yeah, in my interpretation, it always was the dream. So like the ending was, it's sort of showing the end of her life. And then the rest is a dream. That was always my thing. It's sort of like her waking up from the dream or something. Or not even waking up from the dream. It's sort of just like showing us the dream and then showing us the reality.
Yeah. I also have written down, how are their names significant? And I feel like the moment where you really start paying attention to names is when you see the waitress's name tag.
Yeah.
And then you see it again later and it's Diane or it's Betty or it's whatever it is.
Because it's interesting because like in the dream, it's like Diane. And then afterwards it's Betty, which was her name in the dream.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like in the dream, she takes the waitress's name and gives the waitress her name. But then you go to reality and you realize, oh, she did that. Like she wanted a name. She saw a waitress, saw Betty, and took that name for herself in the dream. So that's why in the dream they're switched.
Yeah.
That's, again, like sort of like what I interpreted it as.
Right. That's where I kind of felt like that's kind of the turning point.
Yeah.
In a way.
Exactly. It's like seeping it back in.
Yeah. And then I also had written down, is it made up? And then trauma response, question mark.
I think 100%.
Yeah.
Like trauma response.
Yeah.
That's like the basis of my whole little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apologies for the plane if you can hear it once again.
Apologies for hearing me scratch my head, possibly.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Fingers crossed. Damn. Yeah, but that's what I've always viewed it as. What were your opinions, like overall?
Overall, right away. Well, we also have to talk about Havenhurst.
That's true.
She comes into the valley. She lives on Havenhurst with her aunt.
But she says she lives in Hollywood.
She says she lives in Hollywood, and then they imply that they're gonna like go out for coffee or something, and it's like
Sunset or something. Right?
Yeah, you have to like go around the mountains, like down the 405. Like, no,
I think it's either. I think it was just like,
I don't know if that's a movie thing or if that's a dream thing where it's like, oh, in my dream world, everything's perfect and there's no traffic.
It could be like a dream thing, but I think it's fully just like David Lynch was like, oh, let's say they're living on Havenhurst, and I don't care that it's on Hollywood. Like they just didn't think of it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean that's also a movie thing. I'm a stickler about that.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
if you give us a real address as well, I want to see that place exists in real life.
That's like, I think when they like do show like downtown LA.
Yeah.
But then like you can tell that it's not set in downtown LA or something.
Yeah.
It's like in Burbank or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because it looks too nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't see Skid Row. That's
right. Yeah, that's a big feature of downtown LA.
For those visiting, go to Skid Row.
Yes, exactly. Please. Yeah, I really liked the color in this movie. I liked I think that's called match cuts. I don't know. I haven't been in film school for a long time, where it's like the phones specifically. I was like, oh, this is sick. Like that's the cool thing.
Which is like color with him is very, I don't know. I think he does that so well. Like if you watch like Blue Velvet or Twin Peaks, like I haven't watched it, but I've heard about it. And there's like the Red Room in Twin Peaks, which is like the color design I've always loved in that. So I think is just such a good, like aside from everything else, just visually, he's such a good filmmaker.
I liked the color in it. I thought the story was very intriguing, but I was confused mostly because I didn't know who anybody was. But that's more of a me problem than a problem with the film.
Well, I will say like, I was apprehensive about this being your first David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
Because it is like one of his more confusing films, for lack of a better word. Because like Blue Velvet, for instance, is much more straightforward. But I mean, you still liked it. So I'm like happy we watched it.
Yeah. This is also, I saw, considered his magnum opus. So it's kind of like...
Yeah, I would consider it that.
Yeah.
And maybe like if you go watch his other stuff and then come back to this.
Yeah, which we'll do at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I mean, since he's your favorite director.
Yeah. I mean,
we have to.
I do always go back and forth between like Eraserhead and this as his best movie. I can't make up my mind. And maybe it's because I saw Eraserhead first, like that, you know, it's like the nostalgia of that being my first film of his. But I would say this is definitely like top 2 for me out of his things. I will say I haven't seen all of his work. I've also heard that some of his other movies are more confusing.
Oh, interesting.
I heard the last movie he made, like full length, is confusing as hell, but it's like a horror movie about like someone in a film set. So we'll have to watch that one too.
That sounds good.
And he like shot it on like an iPhone or like on digital or something. Huh. So it looks wonky too.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best movies ever made. And for the record, he should have won the Academy Award for Best Director that year instead of Ron Howard for A Beautiful Mind, which I haven't seen, but I've heard it's kind of just like blah.
Well, we can watch it.
Yeah, we'll watch it for sure.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious.
I can preemptively shit on it for beating up Mulholland Drive.
So I assume you gave it a 5?
I gave it a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
Also like specifically about the city and the film industry.
Yeah. I haven't seen enough movies to make that proclamation yet.
Yeah.
I gave it, which now I'm thinking, I was always between 2 scores. Yeah. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, which for me is very good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bring it up to a 4.
Yeah.
It's
but
close.
That's also like your, whatever your personal thing is.
Yeah. Once you get to a 5, it's pretty hard to get to a 5 in any of my stuff. I mean, like looking at my music, it's rare that like I have an album.
What is your
at a 5.
3.5 in music in? Like what's a specific?
The words next to it is on rotation at 3.5, which means it's something that I like to continuously come back to.
Yeah. So I think that's like a really good score.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure. 4 on my music is I Heart. That just means I'd like add it to my liked songs on Spotify. Yeah. So it's functionally kind of the same thing. So I haven't really figured out how that translates to movies yet.
Yeah.
But
which we'll fine tune as we go.
So it's either going to be a 3.5 or a 4. but as of right now, it's a 3.5 on my Letterboxd.
Yeah.
So, but I did really enjoy this movie. I was confused. I think part of the thing is like once I watch it again,
Yeah.
like it's going to make more sense,
Yeah.
and I'm going to know who these people are now and know that they don't appear at certain points.
And I
in the
feel
movie.
like you'll catch up on stuff.
Yeah.
Like watching it this time around, you know, the scene where they're like watching the weird performance.
Yeah.
Like
Club Silencio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole sequence, I was like, oh, that's like the people performing telling us that this is all fake. Because it's all about a fake performance, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, so they're like, this is a dream. This is not fucking
It's
real.
the circus, which
Yeah.
like kind of ties back to the first song on the album.
Yeah, there we
you
go.
know?
The Stillwalker.
Right. There's a performance that like just exists.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like the words like none of this is real.
Right.
Stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Which I didn't pick up like until I watched it a second time.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see. And I will say I'd want to be there when you rewatch it.
Yeah.
I want to see your reaction.
We also did watch this movie together, which we probably won't be watching a lot of movies together.
Just
but,
because of time.
Right. But this was one that you had on DVD, which ended
We didn't even end up using.
which didn't work out. But it was good to watch it together because I was able to ask, who is this person?
Yeah.
And have we seen them before?
I feel like next week's movie will be a lot more straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but yeah.
But did you have, before we like wrap up everything, did you have anything else you wanted to say about either of these works?
I honestly think that we paired them up like perfectly.
I think this is a great pairing as well.
I think they connect on multiple levels, not just the film industry, but like on relationships, on this city, on like multiple things.
On what it means to be a
Yeah.
creative person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because that was another thing we didn't really talk about is the directors being like controlled by the mob.
That's true.
Or whoever they are.
That's true.
Where it's like kind of that similar allegory that's going on in the album. It's like, yeah, everybody else is telling you what to do with your art.
Exactly. But just like the perfect time for this episode too. You know, with the fires and David Lynch's death.
Yeah.
So
and everything else happening in the world.
Yeah,
And
to what
everything
degree.
happening in the industry, specifically
right.
the film industry.
an
kind
industry
of
that seems like it's
collapsing.
kind of going to end soon. So
Yeah, eating
perfect time
itself,
to
maybe.
start.
Yeah.
I mean, last thing that I would say is just rest in peace, David Lynch. I love you.
Yeah.
Platonic.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is I think it's time I got the hell out of Los Angeles.